We're aligning with that new storyline, manifesting our dreams. The how and the when, the two main culprits when it comes to slowing us down or even stopping us. Welcome to my channel. If you're new, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, whichever side of the screen that I have it on, as well as the bell. So anytime any new content is uploaded, you will be the first to know about it, you guys. But this video, I love sharing with you guys any kind of like tips and tricks that I come across that I know has helped me. I love sharing that information with you guys. But this video is all about helping you to stomp out some of the doubt, some of the fear, some of the things that kind of slow us down in that manifestation process when we're reaching our higher selves, when we're aligning with that new storyline. The how and the when, the two main culprits when it comes to slowing us down or even stopping us. Also, you guys, stay tuned. I'm also going to share with you guys a very useful strategy that you can practice daily, use to erase some of that fear and doubt that creeps in between you and your manifestation, between you and your higher self. So one of the things that I have realized, you guys, and I'm realizing it more and more, is that when we talk about co-creation, of course, obviously we're co-creating with the universe and we're doing that in so many different ways. But when we talk about like co-creation, it's more so you assuming whether you think you're actively doing it or not. Each and every moment we are assuming one of the stories, right? And then I'm going to put up a little diagram somewhere, you guys. And like I say, there are other videos that also include that like diagram, 3D, 4D, 5D and all that. But whether we're aware of it or not, continuously we are assuming one of those storylines, right? In that great book, that great library, all these books on the shelves, us as the main character in each one of them. Whether you are aware of this or not, you are assuming one of those storylines. So you guys, you actually do have the power to select which story, okay? If the story no longer fits you, if you've outgrown that storyline, you just don't like the storyline that you're currently in, you do have every ability to switch and to change gears, to close that book on that story and open up a new one. They say in the fifth dimension, the quantum field, right? All versions of you exist. Every possible storyline plays out in that fifth dimension. That's that quantum field. Is nothing for to be like written out. Those stories are already written. Already the books are complete from beginning to end, and it's a multitude, right? It's an infinite number of books on the shelves with you as the main character. And even if you are not consciously, actively assuming to select a book right now, one of those books, you are now acting out that storyline. But anyway, what I've realized is that co-creation is you assuming a storyline. I think it's better for us to consciously assume a storyline, right? But for you to assume one of the storylines and then actually allow the universe. This is where the co-creation, this is where the symbiotic relationship comes in with the universe, right? It's a push and a pull, a give and take, where you assume the storyline, but you allow the universe to create the how and the when. That is not, you know, how people always like, not my problem, right? People say that. Like in this case, you could genuinely say that. The how you're going to get from point A to point B, or how you're going to get from one end of the bridge over to the other, is not your concern. That's not your worry. Okay. Or when is it going to happen? That is not your worry. That is the universe. And the universe actually has an infinite number of ways to bring you your desires, right? Ways beyond that you could even conceive, right? And to make it actually align and make it possible. Some of it is beyond conception. It's almost like miracle, right? It's magical. There's no way to even like describe. It just is. Okay. The universe is continuously rearranging, right? And bringing things into our bubble that we have, you know, with whatever storyline we've assumed, we are attracting certain circumstances, opportunities, people into our bubble. Okay. And the how this is going to get done, or how we're going to move from here to there, or that's not for us to worry about. But because we are so logical, and a lot of this is just the way that we're wired for survival, and just, you know, we're wired to be logical. Okay. To, know how we're going to get from here to there. Okay. How is this possible? What can we do? And, in us doing that and thinking in that way, a lot of times that slows down our ability to step into that higher version of ourselves. It slows down our ability to manifest because we get so caught up into the how that we feel like it's just impossible. This is impossible. I feel silly, or why would I, they take a look and they look around at their environment, look at their bank account, look at, whatever, people that they know, and they just like, there's no possible way. And that is where the doubt creeps in, right? The fear and just the feeling silly. And then you fall into you continue to realign with the current storyline that you're in, that you may not actually even want to be in anymore. Okay. So once you remove the how, and remember that we are co-creating, meaning that your job is only to assume and to align. And I'm actually going to share with you guys a little tip, trick, a little exercise that you could do regularly when you feel like you've fallen out of alignment. I think it's very helpful. It's kind of like a little visualization technique, but I think it's very helpful. But anyway, and even the when, right? Because let's just say you're doing all the work to stay in alignment. You're doing you're speaking the affirmations, you're scripting, you're writing, you are visualizing, you're doing all that stuff, right? You're making choices from being on the other side of that manifestation, but you're so caught up in the when, where you're just like, you're just constantly checking for updates for changes, and because it's not coming in the timely manner that you want it to come in, that you just assume it's not coming. And then that's where the lack of faith, right? Because again, like I say, us just being beings that we like to know the how, the when, the what, the why, right? Or at least for it to make sense to us, that if we cannot be given a date as to when all something comes into fruition, or we can't understand the how it's going to happen, then we just, our brains just go, and that's where the doubt, the fear, and then we just, continue to realign with this current storyline that we're in, because what's around us, we can make sense of that. And we stay in that, even if it's no longer desirable to us. So, again, you guys, like I say, the two main things is to, those I would say are the two, I guess you could say, killers of your alignment, killers of your manifestation, is getting too caught up in the how and the when. Now, because we are human, we are going to do the how and the when. Okay. That's just very normal. We as humans, and I've put other videos out before too, where I've talked about us just liking what's familiar, right? Familiarity feels safe. It feels comfortable for us. So a lot of times by default, we will fall into familiar patterns, habits, because it's what we like, right? We like to know what's coming, right? We like to do a lot of times things that are familiar, right? Go into environments, be around people, habits, because that's what we have become familiar with. But the big thing I think that's so important is for us, we are going to, because we are human, we are going to fall sometimes back into those patterns. And the biggest thing I think is for us not to beat ourselves up, not to talk down to ourselves, or just feel like, oh, we blew the whole thing, because now we see ourselves, repeating certain habits or things that we thought, or plan to cut out, because we are assuming this new storyline, or we're assuming this new alignment. The point is not to beat yourself up. And this is actually an exercise that I find to be extremely helpful, where depending on, like I say, everyone's storyline, everyone's manifestation, higher version is going to look very different, right? For one person, it may be, getting a creative project off the ground and getting lots and lots of clients. For someone else, it might be getting into a university or getting a certain job that they've always wanted. For someone else, it may be moving to a different city, country. It's going to look very different. Or for someone else, it could be weight loss, right? It's going to look very different for each and every one of us. But a really cool exercise that I think that you could do, visualize, is when that, repetitive habit pops up, right? Or way of thinking pops up. One of the things I like to do is visualize yourself. You could hear a little knock at the door in your mental space, right? Visualize yourself opening up the door, whatever that habit is, or that self-doubt or environment, people, whatever. Imagine yourself speaking to it. In this case, I'm going to put it as a person. Let's just say this, right? Let's just say it is someone. I always use this as an example because, like I say, I think this is one of the more easier examples to make. But let's just say someone wants to cut whatever out of their diet. Okay, let's just say that you want to cut something out of your diet, and man, it's not even that you're hungry, it's just you have a routine of getting yourself this treat, this snack or whatever, every single day, first thing in the morning, or the bakery or wherever you go to every single morning. You know the staff, they know you become friendly with them, they know you, they even know what you like to order, they already have your order ready. Let's just say you, in your visualization method, you hear the knock at the door, you open the door, and it's the staff holding the bag of bakery treats or a tray of whatever food that you like, and they're saying, hey, we didn't see you today. Hey, we got this here ready for you. In your imagination, imagine yourself telling them like, hey, I really appreciate it. You guys are great. But I'm in a new story. I'm in a new timeline. That was actually it's not even on my dietary. I don't even eat like that anymore. I'm sorry. I really appreciate you guys. You guys were great. Come bring it in, give me hugs. Okay. And imagine them, saying, oh, well, we understand. And imagine them walking away, getting into their cars, driving away, and your doorway, your door path, your doorway actually being clear, and imagine yourself closing the door. And the reason why I say visualize it in that way is because, instinctually, you may want to like push something away, right? Anytime like you push something away, right? It's almost like you bring it closer to you, right? Because you put so much energy and effort into like, that you don't want something, that you make it harder to cope with, to deal with. In this way, it's kind of like you speaking, because you're really speaking to yourself in a loving, nurturing sort of way, but you're saying like, no longer align, no longer fits, different storyline. That was old me, old whatever, appreciate it, understand, but no thanks, and closing the door. Okay. And I think that is a much more gentle way, not only to speak to yourself, but to also get that visualization on that door being closed. Okay. That door, even the doorway being empty and closed. Okay. But I think that's very helpful. If you guys try it out, let me know if it works for you or whatever, but definitely do your best. And I'm talking to myself as well, not to get caught up into the how and the when, because that's not our concern. The universe has, again, an infinite number of ways to bring you your desires, okay, beyond the scope of your imagination. So don't get caught up in that. That's not your worry. Your worry, it's not even a worry, but your concern is alignment, and again, incorporating strategies into your day-to-day just to stay in alignment as best as you can. Okay. But I love you guys so much. I love sharing content with you guys like this. Anything that I find to be helpful, I love to share that with you guys. I will see you guys in the next video. Again, leave lots of comments down below. A comment that you leave might actually be just right in divine timing. Someone else may need to hear it right on time. So leave lots of comments. Love you guys. I will see you in the next video. Bye.